Okay, all right. Looks like we're live. Let's get started. Well, good day, everyone. Welcome to today's LinkedIn Live session on the topic Is Global Expansion the Right Move for Your Recruitment Process? I'm Chavi, Content Manager at Recruit CRM, and I will be the moderator for today's session. I will mostly be behind the scenes, but while our expert for the day takes the spotlight. So today we have with us Lucy Robinson. Let me give you a quick introduction about Lucy. Lucy is the CEO and founder of LCR International, a leading executive search consultancy specializing in the fresh produce industry. With over 15 years of experience in global recruitment, Lucy connects transformative leaders with fruit growers, helping them expand into new international markets. Her expertise spans senior and C-level appointments across key functions such as commercial, operations, supply chain, and finance, making her a trusted advisor in the industry. So, welcome, Lucy. Do you want to say a quick hi to the audience and a bit about what we'll discuss today?
Yeah, of course, absolutely. Yeah, thank you so much. Excited to be here. So, yeah, hi everyone. Thank you for joining me on this masterclass. So today the focus is moving into new geographical markets. So yeah, I'm Lucy Robinson, founder of LCR International, and today I'll share my journey, also challenges, as well as key learnings in expanding a business globally. So yeah, the idea is to give you a mix of personal experience as well as actionable insights to really help you navigate international expansion. Cool. So shall I just continue then?
Yep, we're all set. Let's get started.
Perfect. Okay, great. So this is a bit about my story. So my journey into recruitment began in 2006 in North Yorkshire in England. I then moved into recruiting, particularly within admin and reception roles, again in a local area, in a local town, and before eventually moving across the world, did some travel before settling within Melbourne. I lived in Melbourne for a few years, then did a bit more travel across South America, and finally returned to the UK. So I joined an FMCG recruitment business. I was working in the food manufacturing space within the UK. But within this, I developed a passion for fresh produce and also international search. I initially attempted to set up an international fresh produce desk within the business, but actually faced some challenges. So for several reasons, I left to start my own firm, LCR International. So in terms of why I focused globally, I really had a passion for travel and also for global business. And I was really drawn to the fresh produce industry because of the global nature of the industry. I had heard that international recruitment was a bit different. You know, there was less competition. There was a higher respect for recruitment, which meant stronger partnerships. Also, retained executive search was more common internationally, and this was an area I really wanted to focus. And I really wanted to niche down and specialize within the fresh produce industry. So this is really what motivated me to working globally and then positioning LCR International as a specialist in this space. So, I mean, exactly how I did that, the shift really happened overnight, and I positioned myself as an international search expert. So even though I had not actually made international hires yet, I developed a network. So I immediately changed my LinkedIn profile and the wording on my website. I started to build a network. So I was speaking with candidates globally and just focusing on networking. And then when speaking to clients, I was talking about my network, talking about my experience. You know, at the time, it wasn't just about international hires, it was about the network and experience. Now, in terms of challenges and pitfalls, I mean, one of the early mistakes I made was raising my fees too soon. I wanted to position myself at a premium level, but I really needed to gain the credibility first. So I did eventually adjust my strategy whilst I built a reputation. Initially, there were some challenges. So, for example, language barriers and time zone issues. They were minor, but I found that hiring language specialists really helped. Also, there's other complexities such as local tax regulations that really require some careful financial planning. Now, how I came over these challenges, initially I was taking on some smaller roles just to build my reputation. I was able to then increase my fees and eventually get to the premium level as my credibility grew. I was then able to hire remote language specialists, really as and when needed. And I focused on retained search. So this is for sustainability, to build strong global connections, and also to offer a premium level of service to my clients. I really then expanded my network via LinkedIn. I went to global industry events to really build the global connections. So really the benefits of international recruitment, and there's obviously pros and cons to everything, but I'd say international markets do have a better perception of recruitment, and this really makes partnerships easier. There is in some markets less competition, not in all, but yeah, in some markets there definitely is. Again, you can build stronger partnerships for these reasons. Also, retained executive search I found was more common. So this allowed me to build better client relationships. Now, our global reach, so LCR International has now made hires in over 20 countries, spanning 6 continents. And our success comes from being industry specific rather than geography or function specific. But this global approach really reduces the need for business development as clients rely on us for international hiring across all functions and locations. Oh, sorry, wrong page. So key takeaways. So I would say if you want to go global, I would start talking about it immediately. Positioning really is key. Focus on building a network first. So don't worry about just making hires or winning retainers. Focus on the network. Consider being more flexible with your fee structure as you gain credibility. Also be aware of international challenges like language barriers, taxes, also cultural differences. And then also I'd say leverage LinkedIn as much as you can, leverage industry events, so go in person to industry events. And yeah, that's everything. So just want to say thank you everybody for your time and engagement today. And yeah, I hope this has given you insight and some confidence to expand into new geographical markets.
All right, awesome, Lucy. Thank you so much for that wonderful presentation. Well, now we will be transitioning into our Q&A round. So if anybody in the audience has any questions for Lucy, this is the time to ask. And, we'll just wait a few seconds and pick up any questions that we see coming. Cool. In the time that we get these questions, and Lucy actually had a couple of, thoughts on this as well, and I had a couple of questions to ask you. So you talked about your own challenges as well, right? So what are the top 3 unexpected challenges you faced when expanding into new geographical markets, maybe besides the ones that you already talked about?
So I'm not sure of any additional ones, but I'd say definitely, time zone is a big thing, and that can be quite tricky to navigate for various reasons. So we found that, again, hiring people in different time zones has really helped. So that was a really key thing. Also, you've got to think about things like getting the right terms and conditions in place for different markets. So we do have a separate terms and conditions for different clients based on location. You have to think about the fees that come with international transfers as well. So getting the right banking options in place is also key. There is quite a lot to think about, to be honest, but I'd say there's some of the additional challenges.
Okay, thank you. Well, we have a question from an audience member. They're asking, how do you decide which countries to expand into first? Is it based on client demand, talent availability, or market maturity?
Yeah, so I chose a market that was quite big within my industry in terms of a high number of clients and candidates. I actually chose the Netherlands was actually the first for me. It's a similar time zone, typically English speaking or a lot of English speakers. So it was sort of less challenging than some other markets. So I based my initial research there. But then I did quite quickly move into some other markets as well, such as the US, particularly the East Coast. Again, not too complicated with the time zone. There's quite a big opportunity for networking in that location. So I'd really consider, where there is talent, where there is client demand. Again, maybe where there's not too much competition, particularly in the early days, whilst you build your reputation and credibility. And maybe do consider time zones as well. How is it going to be? If it's a certain time zone, will you need to be working, every evening? Is that okay for you? Does it work for your life? So things like that to consider. But I would definitely pick a market as a focus to begin with and start there rather than spreading yourself too thinly.
All right, I have another question for you. So, what role does technology play in supporting your global recruitment strategy, and which tools have been the most helpful for you in expanding?
Good question. I mean, I think so. We did really leverage content on LinkedIn in terms of social media content more to develop relationships globally and develop a network. So that was again for positioning, branding, and that was really that's been really, really successful. So I'd say really developing a social media following is key. What else? I mean, we use loads of tools. I don't know if they would be different internationally than domestically. I mean, I suppose having international phone calls is something to consider. They can be quite costly, so getting the right phone line in place is key. And then I suppose as well looking at international transfers and keeping the fees there low is something that we needed to consider that obviously we wouldn't need domestically. So we use a foreign exchange partner essentially to help us with that. So some of the first things that come to mind. We do use a lot of tech, to be honest, but a lot of that would be the same domestically as well.
All right, awesome. I had another question. So, what are some common mistakes that recruiters make when trying to scale their operations globally, and how can they avoid them?
Mistakes. I'm just trying to think what it would be. I mean, I think probably not giving it enough focus. I think people probably they might continue to. I'm not saying that you should move away from your normal market or give it up completely, but I think when developing an international market, you really need to give it your all. Doing a bit here and a bit there just probably won't cut it. I think you need to sort of fully commit and go all in. Otherwise, it's going to be really difficult to develop. These things take time. They take a lot of networking. And if people just do it, sort of 10% of the time, it's just not going to cut it, I think. So that's where I've seen people probably fail at it, where they just haven't fully committed. So I'd say that's the thing. And it takes some planning and it takes some dedication, and it's I suppose it takes some risk as well. But yeah, I think that's the main reason that I've seen.
All right, awesome. I think I have one final question, before we see if the audience members have any more questions. So, as recruitment evolves globally, Lucy, do you think there are any trends that you foresee shaping the future of international recruitment in the next 4 to 5 years?
Any trends? I mean, I think it'll become more common, I would say. I mean, particularly since I suppose COVID times, everything's online. People are very active online. Teams meetings or video meetings are very, very common. I think probably going back quite a few years, it was quite difficult, or perceived as difficult to do. But I think over time it will just become more and more common to do this. I think also probably relocations will become more common as well, as companies are open to people relocating from other countries, cross borders, potentially, depending on the country. But yeah, I'd say that's what I see is probably just more of it. I think people are becoming more open to the idea of international business, international recruitment, and yeah, I know a lot of people come to me asking questions, so I just think we'll be seeing a lot more of that. And then I suppose on the other side, clients being more open to working with people internationally. I think historically, again, and even somewhat now, it's all about working with somebody locally. But actually, I think over time they'll be more open to the international piece.
All right, we have another question from an audience member. They're asking, how long does it typically take to establish a reliable network of candidates in a new country?
So yes, I mean, it depends, I guess, on your niche and how big the talent pool is in that country. But it doesn't take too long to get started. I mean, if I was starting out, I would actively be speaking to candidates every day, multiple people every day, people that are active in their job search or just open to new opportunities, and just start building that pool. And I would do that I would do that ongoing forever, to be honest. But I think in the first maybe couple of months, that would be the most of my my work, that I will be focusing on building that network and then connecting those candidates with potential hiring managers, for example. So how long is hard to answer, because I guess it's almost ongoing forever. But you can probably get a decent pool of candidates to work with in the first 4 to 8 weeks, I would say, to at least as a starting point.
All right, awesome. Looks like those are all the questions that we have. And yeah, Lucy, thank you so much for the amazing session. Any final closing remarks for the audience before we wrap up?
I'd just say that if you are interested in moving internationally, I would say definitely spend some time planning. Make sure it's something that you really want to dedicate your time to. Understand some of the the challenges that may come up, and then just go for it. Once you're there, it's in some respects it is easier than local for many reasons. I mean, everything has its pros and cons, of course, but yeah, I'd say you'll definitely reap the rewards.
All right, awesome. Well, that's it for the session today. Once again, thanks, Lucy, for joining us today. And don't forget to connect with Lucy on LinkedIn and check out her company website. We've dropped the links in the chat. Let me just quickly drop these right now. Right on LinkedIn. And there you go. I've just dropped these links in the chat. So don't forget to connect with Lucy on LinkedIn and check out her website. And also, if you'd like to learn more about Recruit CRM, feel free to visit our website. If you're interested in exploring our ATS plus CRM a bit, you can also easily book a free demo with us today, where we'll walk you through everything. And we also offer a no commitment, unlimited free trial. You can experience the product firsthand. And finally, just you can follow us on social media to stay up to date on our upcoming LinkedIn events and other exciting news. So all the links for everything are in the chat right now, so you can go ahead and check them out. And thank you so much for joining us today, and we can't wait to see you at our next event. Take care and goodbye for now.